Hello Fly Nation and welcome to the Freestyle Your Life podcast, the one and only podcast inspiring you to live your authentic greatness while teaching you that less is more. I'm your host, Erneste Kaller-Zimmermann, and I'm on my mission to help you to be the hero you were meant to be and to live what you came for in life and in business. Remember, the quest we came here for is to discover our true nature, explore our potential and share it by living. Hello Fly Nation, my today's guest on episode 7 is Michael Levitt. He's an expert on the field of stress and burnout prevention, and this episode is all about how to reduce stress in your life.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi, there you are. I'm great. Everything good?
Everything's great. Everything's great. It has been a whirlwind world since Tampa. I tell you, March is a blur, and we're wrapping up the month this weekend. So it's like, okay, wow, and that happens sometimes, especially after you attend a conference like New Media Summit, because there's so much to do. It doesn't matter what you're doing, and whether you're a podcast host, an icon, you're going on shows, and you're just trying to process all that information that you picked up over those 3 days, or actually it was longer than that, quite frankly. I was there 5 days, come to think of it, because they're for the early meet and greet, and then the 3 days of the conference, and then
the icon meeting,
and then the icon mastermind meeting, which was a full 8-hour session of.
Yeah.
So needless to say, brain was definitely done. But by the time I got on the flight the next day, I was like, okay, I got a lot of work to do, and still plugging through it. Actually, it was funny. I just before I clicked on the link to join the Zoom call, Rachel Augusta, another one of the attendees. I think she's the one that works with the pets and all of that kind of stuff.
I had her on the show last week. She's great.
Yeah, I've got her coming up on mine too. And she made a comment where she scheduled an interview in September, and she said it could be the end of the world by then. And I chimed in. I said, you know what, it's going to happen with a lot of these people, because there's many podcast hosts, whether they're an icon or or a future icon, that they may only be able to do interviews 1 day a week. And if they do 5 or 6 a day, and you invite 100 people, it's going to be September. And I know, like, for example, Michael Neely, I mean, he's booking into 2020 already.
Yes. Let me interrupt you for just a second, Michael. So, because I just want to introduce you for a quick moment to our listeners here in Fly Nation. Today, as you see, we just hopped on. Michael is my good friend and podcast colleague. And we just met actually in Tampa in Florida in February. And that's why we came home both with such a crowd of work. So why you're mentioning because of the bookings, I booked out till mid of September. Mm-hmm. So this is, I have to speak at your podcast too, and I have it down there in my computer, but I couldn't get along until now with all the bookings, because I intended originally to do once a week, but that would be next year. Mm-hmm. So I rescheduled everything and decided to air twice a week, so on Tuesdays and Thursdays, because otherwise I will be next year. So, this is not to complain about it. It's a luxury problem, right? It would be worse if there was nobody knocking on the door who wants to speak, of course.
Of course.
I totally relate to you. I had Michael up here, and he has this fantastic event, Authority Blueprint, coming up now. And we are just so busy. I have 3 appointments, 3 interviews a day. So after you, Art is coming up, and Art Costello and Lorraine later coming up. So
nice.
It's amazing, right? So, but I'm so glad we found this schedule here and this spot and the appointment, and I will book in for your podcast also. I didn't forget it at all. but
I know.
I had to watch how it can go, how it can fix.
I'm all about making sure that you take enough time to take care of the things you need to take care of, including yourself first. Self-care is a big thing that I talk about a lot. Yeah. And that's, again, it's, for me, you got to fight the temptation of going, okay, I'll just open it up and I'll interview people 5 days a week. And as much as I would love doing that, I've got other obligations to people and clients and family and myself and all of that. And it gets to the point where you have to, set those boundaries and say, these are the days that I'm available. And I've made exceptions. I interviewed a Harvard business professor yesterday. Now, Mondays aren't normally days that I interview, but this was somebody that I've, been a fan of and followed for several years. And she, gave me, 45 minutes of her time. But she was only going to be available at noon on Monday. And I'm like, I will do it. And I would do that for anybody if it aligns up right, because I want to make sure that people get access to, my audience and the audiences of everybody that hosts a podcast, because people need to hear our messages.
That's it, Michael, totally. And it's our sort of duty to be sort of flexible with it, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm doing the same, but I just canceled the Saturdays I had in because I just cannot manage it. And we both come out of a history of burnout, right? So we're going to talk about that in just a second. And, we learned our lesson, so to say, and that's the big thing is self-care and setting boundaries. Otherwise, with launching the podcast, then I have the summit just after it, the online summit. Mm-hmm. And I have my book at the end of the year, so it's crazy. And we have to do one thing at a time, and even more is not possible. And then we have to watch our self-care. And I just, when I had in the preparation here, some seconds until you arrived here, I just was on your Facebook site there, and it says, decide what kind of life you actually want, then say no to everything that isn't that. That's exactly the meaning of freestyle your life, right? So
exactly.
Find out for yourself what's good, what's fitting you, in case it might even hurt or lead you into illness, and stop that, right? And come to the not I want to do this, I'm dreaming of that, right? With teenage years, we all had these dreams, and then with all the struggle in life and being too busy, we forgot about it. But still inside there is the dream, and we should make this priority. So for me, it was a dream to do what I'm doing now, to be with just amazing people on the spot here, and guiding the audience out there. And but it's still a lot at the moment, yes. And I have to set boundaries and have to say, well, if it's mid of September, the podcast episode is airing, it's just like it is. I cannot help it, right? So that's really important to watch out our self-care in this case. Yes.
Yeah, it's crucial. And even, going back to the end of 2018, I had taken roughly the last 6 weeks of the year off. I was still working a bit because I had a book launch and whatnot. But the important thing for me was to literally not do much of anything else around, the year end, the holidays and all of that. Yeah. And it was absolutely amazing because when I turned into 2019, knowing, what, the first few months of the year were going to be like, I entered the year rested and re-energized, and it was one of the smartest decisions I ever made. Now, there was a lot of people, that wanted to be on my show and clients that wanted to work with me. And I told them, I'm not available to have a conversation with you until January. And I explained to them why.
Yes.
I said, okay, I talk about burnout. I talk about self-care.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing for me. I'm demonstrating what you should do, because I recognized, and this was actually last summer, it was around August. I'm always looking ahead to see what the next few months of my life will look like from a scheduling standpoint.
I do the same. Yes.
I live and breathe by my calendar. If someone took my calendar away, I'd probably pass out, because I literally wouldn't know where to go or what to do. So, but I schedule everything, including breaks, including lunch breaks, including, making sure that I shut down and all that stuff, because if I don't, I can get into this rhythm of continually working, and then I look up and it's 9:00 at night, and that's not beneficial to me or to anybody else. Yeah. So, there was a lot of people upset at first, but after I explained to them, the reason why I made those decisions, they were quite happy with me. So what that ended up doing, though, was loading up my schedule for the first part of the year with people that wanted to see me towards the end of the year. So it's one of those things. It's not eliminating the work. It's more or less shifting it. And, a good lesson for me was to, balance it out, or, maybe even, and I did this already, I blocked off my calendar for the same period next year or this year at the end of 2019. And which should be easier because I didn't have people scheduled already in those slots. So it should make it a little bit easier for me to balance, my schedule when I return to, doing some work in January. Now, I don't know if I'll have a book launch going on then or not. Potentially, I'm talking with somebody else about writing a healthcare book. So that's actually the first time I've ever said that publicly. So yeah, by the way, there's going to be a healthcare book coming, but it's going to be an interesting book, to say the least. So it's, self-care is important. And oftentimes too, for many of us, the challenge we face, and even in reading that post from Rachel earlier, the old version of me, if that was, and it wasn't directed at me because she's already booked an appointment to be on my show, but if it was directed at me, the people pleaser in me would email her back and say, here, why don't we do it on this date next week? Yeah. And I would, it's like, okay, I'm trying to help somebody out, which is fine. But unfortunately for many of us, including myself, I did that to the detriment of myself. I always put other people first and put me last. And when you do that over time, you'll definitely burn out. You'll be overstressed because you've overloaded yourself with commitments. And when you do that,
that's it exactly, Michael. I was acting exactly the same, and that's why we ended up where we've been, right? But to make mistakes is not the problem. We need to learn the lesson out of it, right? And both of us did, and that's why we had to set up boundaries. So before, as being a single mom, I was a multitask genius, but I was overloading myself completely all the time, and I was never present wherever I was with my sons, with my clients. I tried to fix all at the same time, which of course is not possible, and that's not healthy, and that's why I ended up like I did. And but the lesson inside to be learned, and then to implement it and do it different and get another mindset on it. That's what we are here for, and what we love to share, right? So we both learned our lesson out of the illness, right?
Well, we did, yeah.
But
painful, but yeah, we learned.
Yeah, of course. And now we are acting different, and that's why I will not discuss it, right? If somebody is not willing to come up on the show later, well, I cannot help it. Right? I don't have more hours than I have. And that's just the problem. But what I realize now is if you can explain it, and mustn't be you need to tell the story of the past, but well, could be one sentence. Sorry. And the people will understand why we act different like we do now. And that's what we want to give to our Fly Nation here, to listeners, to be a tip for them also to watch out, not to run these self-sabotaging programs there, right? Because exactly. I went totally over my limit already. That was crazy.
Yeah, my burnout was pretty significant, and it was pretty costly on a variety of fronts. And thankfully, after experiencing everything that I did, and oftentimes when people have significant burnout or losses of any sort, whether it's health or financial or job or anything like that, we often have three choices. And those three choices are: one, we can do nothing. We can say, well, lost my job or my health is bad. Okay, I'm just going to continue. Close my eyes. Okay, I'm going to take some medication now and be on whatever type of medication your physician puts you on, which doesn't help you. I'm not getting a soapbox, but it's a Band-Aid approach, and it actually causes more damage than good. And there's tons of studies on that. And that's coming from somebody that worked in the healthcare sector for over a decade. I saw it every day. And the second choice is, playing the victim, blaming the world, blaming everybody for what happened to you, and not taking any ownership, because we are, the common denominator in all of those things. It's us. No matter what happened to us, we were the ones that were there, so we had skin in the game. Or unfortunately, the third option, which doesn't get used as much, is take the opportunity to learn from the experiences that you had, whether it's a loss, challenge, you name it, and grow from it. Figure and do it in such a way where you're not judgmental to yourself, which we unfortunately tend to be very judgmental of ourselves. But take a step back and look at the situations with love and grace and caring to yourself. And yes, acknowledge the mistakes you may have made. Have grace and love for those that may have had some type of impact, or they were somewhat responsible for some of the ingredients in what happened to you. Like for me, with my health challenge, I could easily blame the fast food companies for feeding me crappy food. I ordered it. I paid for it. I ate it. And my body didn't really do a good job with it. So I could easily, go blame those organizations, or learn from it and realize, okay, that is not something I should be consuming. I should be consuming some healthier foods. I should be making better choices when it comes to planning my time, having boundaries in my life. Just say, like that image that you saw earlier from my friend Krista. You figure out what you want your life to look like, and then say no to everything else. And you have permission to say no in your life. It's your life. It's not your parents' life. It's not your spouse's life. It's not your kid's life. It's not your boss's life. It's your life. You have the choice.
Exactly.
Yes, you may have, there's going to be circumstances and outcomes based on the decisions we make. But again, it's your life, and you have full control of it. I know a lot of people don't think they do, but they do. Yes, you may not have the outcome that you want. If you tell your boss off, the outcome may not be positive, but if you so feel it necessary to do that for your own well-being, then maybe you need to, or I wouldn't, I would approach it in a different light, of course, be civil, and again, do it with grace and love. When you go through life doing it that way, it mitigates it down. And, we could have a completely separate discussion on emotions and thought patterns and all of that stuff, but it all ties in.
Totally relate to you, Michael. Just let me have a break here for the second, so it's not too confusing and too much at once for our listeners out there. That totally relate to everything what you said, and so glad you're bringing this up. Because yes, we have three choices. We can do nothing and could be complaining, and that will lead to even worse situation, right? We both know that. And the third option, which nobody of us did say it's easy. No, it is not, but it's manageable, right? And need the right mentorship on that, and it's possible. We've done that way, and that's all what I have under the topic of become authentic, right? Just to find out what's right for you, and then go for that. And skip the rest, right? Because what I realized is for myself and what I see on clients is we are playing so much roles, right? And it's such a fake world out there and fake game, right? So people even less meet together for a glass of wine or whatever. We stick with Facebook friends. We never see them, get to know them. So people get more and more isolated, which is a big problem in big cities also. So that is not healthy, this direction right there, right? So we always inside, as you just mentioned, and that's why I love this example. It's more visible with examples. That's why I always love to speak in examples. You ordered the unhealthy meal, right? And you paid for it, and you even ate it. Of course, maybe you didn't know better, but yeah, you've been in there, or whatever the case is with the relation with the partner or with the boss or whatever. We are one part in there, right? So after all, I think it all depends on what we tolerate, right, for ourselves. So if somebody else is just taking from us, and we both are sort of the over-helping person, right, or have been, me totally, and I had to learn to say no. Yes, I had to learn it because I was so bad at it, and but that was the lesson to learn, right? And it is doable, and so I tolerated much too much in relations, in whatever areas I can think, and well, that's what you call setting up boundaries, right? So we don't have to tolerate everything. Nobody is dictating us. So, right? So that's a huge shift we have to do there to come to the other, more healthy direction. But yes, it's doable. So sorry for the interruption.
No. I'm glad you said that, because when you're establishing boundaries for the first time with people that have known you for a long time, it could be family, it could be loved ones, you name it, friends. At first,
sort of surprised, right?
Yeah, it can catch them off guard, and depending on their personality, and whether they're codependent or they have narcissist tendencies, they could view this as an attack on them, which is not the case. Exactly. But explaining to them, they may not, they may hear it, but they may not, or they may listen to it, but they may not hear it. They again may take it personally that you're not going to do the things that you've been doing because it's detrimental to your personal self-care.
And they are used to us playing the roles that we did, right? And that might be even uncomfortable for them. When we decide now, only helping, like me, I did, is leading me to illness. So I have to set up boundaries, and of course that's uncomfortable for one and the other. And the meaning of these talks is not only to give my listeners in Fly Nation tips and inspire them what they could do and what is possible, but also to tell them upfront it will not be easy, right? That's why we are just pointing this out. So it's doable, but yeah, people are used to you like you have been. And now if you're shifting your mindset and your behavior and everything, they will be surprised, right? And they may act in a different way. But that's totally okay from their point of view, right? That's nothing that you have to step back and say, oh, that's not working. Yeah, it's totally working. But we have to live with the other person involved, or the partner, or whatever, whoever it is, that he says, oh, I'm surprised. Oh, yeah, now we're going to discuss how we can manage the situation. Mm-hmm. Right? So be prepared that people might wonder why you act different.
Yeah, and depending on who that individual is and what type of relationship you have with them, I would hope that you would be able to have a conversation with them and explain the reasoning behind it, and do it again from a place of love, and also of just being patient. Because like in my situation, I was pretty high strung before, and now when people that know me from the last decade or so, when I explained to them, the personality type that I was before, they would not believe it. They just wouldn't. Where people that have known me for a long time, who see me now, say, wow, you're so much, more calm. You're more at peace. You seem to be more present. Things aren't bothering you like they used to. What are you on is usually the question I get. I said, I'm on this thing called taking care of myself and life. I'm not using any additives or hallucinogens or any other type of alternate things. It's just having a better perspective on life and what's important and what isn't, and really focusing on that. And I love how you framed it, where as with any type of adjustment in your life, it's not going to be something that is going to just happen overnight and change, whether it's changing how you approach life, implementing boundaries in your life, losing weight, or taking better care of yourself. This is not a overnight type of thing. Yes, you can stop doing something or stop eating fast food overnight. So, okay, I'm not going to go eat that anymore. I'm going to eat at home more and prepare my own meals and shop the perimeter of the grocery store, not the middle. And that, again, takes time. Yeah. And it's an adjustment. And you have to give yourself permission for, I don't like using the word fail, but if you're trying to adjust your diet, for example, and one day you decide and you go and you order the number 3 with a Coke, and you're like, don't beat yourself up over it. But I will tell you this, after a period of time, once you eliminate that from your diet and you introduce it again, your body will let you know. You will not feel well because you're introducing things and ingredients that your body has not had in a while that aren't necessarily designed for what we are supposed to eat. And again, I'm not trying to bash fast food companies or anything like that, but it's noticeable. When you're eating fresh fruits, vegetables, lean meats, or you're vegetarian or vegan, all of a sudden you order a number 3 with a Coke, your body is going to reject it, and it's not pleasant. And so it's the same thing with emotions, and it's the same thing with people in your life that you've allowed to more or less run your life. When you tell them that you now have boundaries and that's not going to happen, be prepared that there will be some people that may not be happy with you or upset with you, and just be steadfast in sticking to what you know is best for you. And either they will come around and acknowledge, okay, this is how you are now, and they have to adapt to how to interact with you. Or if they choose not to, then they choose not to. And then you make a decision at that point on, what your relationship with that individual is going to be like.
Yeah, and either side is okay, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
the goal is to come in peace with what is, because it's anyway, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you want it to either be a win-win or, a win by, walking away from the situation. The former CEO of Ford Motor Company, Alan Mulally, who I'm a huge fan of, because I was in the Detroit area when he saved Ford Motor Company from basically going away, a little over a decade ago. Huge leadership fan of his. And one of the things that he did when he was turning around Ford was, he would talk to his senior leaders and executives and whatnot to make sure that everyone was on the same page of what they were going to do collectively as a company to turn things around.
Yeah.
And there were some people that were not in alignment with his vision and the decisions that he was making.
Mm-hmm.
And, he would talk with them and he said, we will still be friends. Mm-hmm. You just won't work here anymore. Mm-hmm. And he said it in a very polite, friendly, we will be friends. You just won't work here anymore. And he approached it that way. And, a handful of those people did leave the organization. They went on to other places and I'm sure are fine. But it was a case of, this is how it's going to be. If you like it, great. If you don't, great. We're still good. I'm not angry with you. I'm not upset with you. Yeah. You just won't work here anymore. And that approach really resonates with me and how you approach implementing boundaries in your life and understanding that you're doing this for you and you need to love yourself the most first. Yeah. Because when you do that, then the love you give others is more abundant than you've ever been able to give before. Because
and if not, you cannot suspect this from others. If you don't love yourself, how could anybody else?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crucial. And you end up being a better person after doing this. And those that are in alignment with what you're doing and who you are and love you and love spending time with you, they'll notice. They'll notice it's like, wow, you are a better human being before, or better now than you were before. And they loved you before. Yeah. Now they really love you because like you're absolutely amazing to be around. And you're happy around your kids, your friends. You taste life. And that's an analogy that I use a lot, both with, the significant weight loss that I've had and also just in being more present in my life and how I approach things is I taste life. I smell things when I'm outside. I notice things more because my head isn't in this. I have to do all of these things for everybody. I'm taking care of myself. So when I'm out doing things, I can be present throughout, whether it's going for a walk or driving into a client's office or the office or going to visit family or friends or going to, I'm giving a talk next week in Chicago on physician burnout. I will be present for that. I'll be talking to a room of a lot of people, including physicians, and telling them, we need to address this issue. It's something that the public isn't really aware of. Not to get on a tangent, but burnout doesn't care what industry you're in. Burnout doesn't care whether you're a teacher, a doctor, a parent, a child, a millennial, a baby boomer, a Gen Xer. Burnout doesn't care. Burnout will pick on anybody. And it's impacting every industry, every age group, every gender, every race. And it scares me because it doesn't have to be that way. And I know it. I went through it. And I know now, I wish I would have known then, but I know now what to do to prevent it from happening. And it's not the super secret sauce. There's certain things you need to do in life and how you approach life that will help prevent it.
Yeah, let's discuss that in a second. But it's every statistic and all data shows burnout is rising like hell, right? And no matter where, that's why you just pointed out every gender, every nation, every industry. So even the young generation is affected, right? Because they have stress at school with 10 years old, being 10 years old. So and life is stressful, and nearly everybody is overwhelmed. We have a massive information age here, and it's nearly impossible to cope with everything. It's just not. So, well, set boundaries there too, right? Mm-hmm. That's the way to cope with it, and be authentic, right? So this manager you just mentioned, that was authentic what he said. Well, this doesn't fit. This is not a good fit, because it doesn't serve nobody, not the employee and not the company, right? Nobody, and him as CEO, not either. So this is just more than great to point it out, to discuss it, to have an open talk about it, and say, well, it doesn't fit anymore. Maybe it did before, but then to point it out, and then to realize that. No, nothing to be angry about, right? And find other ways to come through. So this will be healthy for the employee also, you know, because I think a big point of what leads us there is that most of the people, they do a work, they go to work. We are different now. We are self-employed here with our company, so nobody telling us what we have to do. We have so much to do. We still have problems and need to set boundaries, right? But we are doing things we love to do, right? So nobody told me I have to talk to Michael. So it's just because I love you, and I honor you for being an expert in this field, and that's why we talk. And it's fun, and it's easy, and it's joy. And I hope we spread that. So it's nothing somebody told us. But if you're an employee, of course, you more or less go to work, and you think, could be evening, and could be weekend, and could be holidays, and could be retirement. So life and time is passing by, never come back. Every second is just lost. Thinking of later or retirement, well, then we are old and might not be in a good shape or health or whatever. Still, because of course we are getting older, and this is just a way to waste time, right? Mm-hmm. And not healthy from the mindset also. So what I want to inspire is to find things that give us something, right? That are sort of our purpose, and sometimes we just have to discover them, what it is. Maybe we don't know it. So any sort of awakening like we had through illness or whatever other circumstances lead to an awakening, that's a huge wake-up call, right? We got there, and then to change the way we are going.
Yeah, that's crucial. And it's, giving yourself permission to, again, look deep within to see where you are, and don't spend too much time on it, but, see where, what's led up to these things. But a good exercise that I love having people do is, one, design your ideal life. It's like, if you could design your ideal day, your ideal life, what does that look like? And then look for the things that aren't in your life right now, and then figure out, okay, how am I going to add more to those? And a big exercise that I have people do, which is more of a short-term type of situation, is to take a sheet of paper and draw a line down the middle of it, a vertical line. Mm-hmm. On the left side of that sheet, be as complete as you can. Write down all the things that you love to do, that you enjoy, that bring you great happiness. Now, this could be going to a restaurant, eating a certain type of food, drinking a certain type of beverage, going to a concert, a play, movies, vacation spots. everything that you just thoroughly enjoy and get so much fulfillment and happiness out of. So list all of those things out.
On the left side, right?
On the left side.
Was just frozen. Okay.
Yeah,
on the
so
left
just on the left side. So so you list all those things out, and you give yourself time. And, it's not going to be a 10-minute exercise, but do it over a couple of days. Make sure it's as complete as possible. Think about those things. And then once you feel that the list is pretty complete, and even if you forget a couple of things, it's not a big deal, but as complete as you think it is, on the right side of that same piece of paper or however many sheets it is, write down the last day that you did that. And what happens when I work with people on this exercise, they are absolutely appalled on how long it's been since they've done the things that bring them happiness and joy. And I ask them, what are you doing with your life?
They are pretty shocked, right?
They're stunned. They're like, I have not ate whatever sandwich or ate at this restaurant in 9 months. And it's 10 minutes from their house. Why not? Why not? We'll work.
Yeah. But that's fantastic to visualize it.
Yeah, it's a good visualization, and then after they do that, and after they kind of pick themselves up off the floor, I ask them to go through the list again on the left side and pick 2 or 3 things that they will commit to doing in the next 10 days. And I said, now go to your calendar, whether it's a paper calendar or a calendar on their smartphone or whatever. Schedule that appointment that you're going to do that, and treat it as if it is the biggest performance review with you and your boss. Would you miss that appointment? No. Quit missing appointments with yourself.
Make it priority.
You have to. If you don't take a break, you will break. I guarantee it. It happened to me. It nearly cost me my life. I know. Stop shortchanging yourself. And stop shortchanging yourself so you can afford to pay the money you're paying for that expensive car or the latest big screen television and all that other crap that is going to be thrown out or recycled in the next decade. If you enjoy, spend money and time on experiences and things that you enjoy. The television that I have fits my living room well. Could I get a bigger television? Sure. Do I want one? No. When will I get a new television? When that one stops working. Okay. And hopefully it won't stop working because I don't really want to go buy a new television. But it's the people are constantly, and this is a big challenge with social media too, because you see friends and everybody else with the latest this or that or this or that. The old keeping up with the Joneses phrase that we love to say in North America for years. Who cares? I don't
because we still tend to compare ourselves.
We're in this world of comparison and classifications, and where are you on the spectrum? It's like, look, my spectrum is a spectrum of 1. It's just me. I don't compare myself to other people. Just don't. Will I look to people as far as mentors and coaches, which I have several coaches, to coach me on how to be a better leader, a better boss, better in a variety of different things that I knew that I needed help on. I look to those people, and they are doing work in a similar space as me, but I don't compare myself to where they are, both from a client base or financial base or how they appear or what kind of car they have. I don't care. I really don't. Great. So you have this car and your car payment is this. Great. I don't have a car payment.
Yeah, it would be different if it was of worth for you, right?
Right.
So for me, for example, I'm not watching the news and all the shocking things coming up there for years now, right? I don't need no television at all. Right. Before I thought, I need to watch the news to be informed. Yeah, but what's coming up there is 99.9% is just hype and bad things that happen. There is nearly nothing pointed out that was really great or was luck or was something. No, it's
Right.
the dramatic side that is shown to us, right? So I'm complete out of that consuming.
You're not missing anything. That's something that I talk about too, is controlling your inputs, controlling what you're putting into your body. Now, that's not just food or the air that we breathe or the water we drink or anything like that. It's also what we consume with our eyes and our ears.
Yeah.
And with technology, and I'm with you, and one of the things I keep talking to my parents about this, because they've always been news junkies, so they always watch the news several times a day. And it's whenever I visit them and the news happens to be on, I'll watch it. I'll go, okay, they're saying the same thing at 6 o'clock that they did at 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And all day long. So, and again, it's all hype and propaganda, and I don't care what famous actor or actress is doing or who they're sleeping with or any of that stuff. I don't care. It doesn't make my life any better or worse or indifferent. Yeah. So when people have that, they don't want to be out of touch. I'm like, okay, that's fine. You want to know if something is going on in the world, whether there's a boil water advisory or there's an issue going on. You don't want to. You're going to hear about it, even if you don't watch the news, just through social media usage and whatnot. For me, I use news feeders, so I am able to control the input of stuff that comes to me. These are subjects that I care about. Do I look? I look at, because I live in Canada, but I'm originally from the States, so I don't pay much attention to what's going on in the U.S. right now. But the Canadian news will cover highlights of things, whether it's what's going on with the U.S. president or, the NCAA basketball tournament that's going on right now. You're aware of these things, but I don't get glued to it going, okay, what did the report say? Or, who won this game? Or if I happen to be sitting around, I turn on the television and the basketball game's on, I may or may not watch it. And I'm a sports junkie. I love sports. But even now, it's a case of, okay, is this a good use of my time? What should I be doing right now? Should I be resting and relaxing? Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It's a good time for me to do this, and I can watch it or have it in the background while I'm doing something else. But yeah, controlling your inputs is really important, because our brains are naturally inclined to go into this fight or flight type of moment because of the amygdala. And I refer to the amygdala as Amy G. Dalla. So I tell Amy to shut up quite a bit when I notice it, because there's a purpose for it, but we aren't, fighting off wolves, or at least most of us aren't, or anything like that. But we can, again, control what we have coming into us and look for things that are beneficial to us. And that varies for everybody.
Yeah. Thanks so much for pointing that out, Michael. And the same case is with being worried. So many people they worry about nearly everything, right? So that is sort of expectation and anticipation also. And I know it from my special case, because I have two sons riding the motorbike, which is not lovely and nice for a mother. Right, so one is in Canada, in Whistler, was supposed to come back now after 1 year, but just called me yesterday and said, Mom, I love Canada, I'll be staying here. So I have to come to Canada to visit him there. But both of them riding the motorbikes and crashed every now and then, and that was really a shocking thing for me as a mom. But one day I told myself, I even anticipate it if I'm worrying, which is really bad. And until the hospital called at 11 o'clock at night, which they once did, they they keep going and I cannot change anything, right? So I have to relax myself in ease and just not waiting for any crash to happen or whatever. And it's much healthier for me because worrying doesn't help the situation, right? It doesn't change anything. In fact, it might even get it worse. So that's what we can approach on the situations, right?
Yeah, it's important. And, worrying just adds additional ingredients to a situation, and you put, whatever emotional, triggers or baggage or however you want to call it onto the situation, and the situation doesn't need that,
And it adds on, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why for myself, I really made a total checkup of what's going on, and I said I don't want to judge, and I don't want to be judged also, right? So I took myself completely out of that race, and I don't want to worry about things that might never happen. Yeah, if I worry, there should be a reason, and if there's something I can do about it, if I can change it, I change it. If it's not in my hands, so I cannot do anything about it, like war in Syria or whatever, I don't have no cards in there to play, right? So it is like it is, but I will not swear myself with all these stories there.
Yeah,
that's a decision we can make, right?
And it's a boundary that we've established for ourselves. We just think, no, does this impact me directly? No. Do we feel bad about things that happen in the world? Of course we do.
Sure.
But that doesn't force us to have to assign all of our emotional energy to that matter. And that's one of those things about self-care is like, focusing on, everybody talks about, wish you could change the world. And, I've seen it time and time again. It's like, change your world, change you, and that will in turn change the world.
Yes. And that's what we really could do and should do, right? To start with our own life, and that will lead to more and more, right?
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So what else did you want to point out, Michael?
I think for people, and we talked about this a little bit, when we burn out, oftentimes one of the ingredients is we're trying to do too much. Mm-hmm. And that can be for a variety of reasons, depending on, what type of role we're in. If we're an executive, we're trying to lead an organization, but we're also trying to manage it. And this is something that happened with me where I was really lousy at delegating. So I because I rose through the ranks and I was able to do a lot of the work myself, before I, reached the executive ranks, I felt that it would be best if I did it because I knew how to do it better than anybody else. At least in my opinion, I did. Mm-hmm. But the problem with that is, that means one, you're doing too much, and two, you're not allowing people that work for you to be able to grow and learn and learn things that you do. Because ultimately, as a leader, your main goal, in my opinion, is to make more leaders, is to help the people that work with you and for you become leaders in their own right. So they can, take up the mantle and be a leader in that organization, whether they're the CEO or they're the janitor or anyone in between. But that's one big thing. And let me interrupt you. So just to recap, so we need to delegate, and we need to outsource, right? Delegate and outsource things that others could do. Yes, and plenty of the really successful leaders with big companies, they have set systems in place, and especially boundaries. You cannot just reach them like that, and that's exactly why. So this is coming up in Corey's new book. We just had the talk because he's kicking off the podcast here. So he analyzed it in nearly 5,000 interviews he did. What do they different to be so successful? And it's exactly that. Yeah. And we have to do it. Everybody has to do it in his own field, right? It's crucial. It's crucial. Another thing that I see, and I see this a lot with parents, not just single parents, but even, parents that are still together. Oftentimes, and we do this under the guide of, we want to make sure that our kids have such a great experience in life and fulfillment, and they get to try all kinds of different things. But what ends up happening is we overcommit ourselves and oftentimes our kids to all of these activities that are supposed to help them grow, but unfortunately they don't have enough time built in between for the kids to just be. Like, no, you don't have to go to recital. No, you're not going to music practice. No, you're not going to gymnastics. No, and all these things. And I saw this firsthand. This was last fall. Around the corner for me is a music shop, and I was taking bass guitar lessons. And I was in the waiting room waiting for my session, and a dad came in with his boy, who I'm guessing was around 10 or 11. And the dad was trying to schedule a makeup appointment for his son with the office manager for the music place. And they couldn't find a date because every date that they would suggest, the son was either there or here or here or here or here. And I'm thinking, does this kid sleep? I'm guessing they get home, it's time for you to go to bed. Like, he just got home. He needs to unwind from whatever activity he did. So I see that happen with parents where they overload their kids with activities. Now, there's obviously reasons for it. One, again, like I said, they probably want their kids to have more experiences in life. But also, it could be a situation where those parents are also overcommitted to their requirements. So they use those experiences, whether it's music practice or recital or whatever, so the parent can go to some type of night commitment, whether they sit on a board of directors or they are going to education for work, or there's a work meeting that night, or all those things. So here you have the parents that are overloading themselves, the kids that are overloaded, and everybody wonders why they're all irritable and tired, and they don't talk with each other. They don't have time together. How in the world are they going to talk with each other with these things? It's like, that's not talking. That is a quick, okay, what else besides celery do we need from the grocery store? That's a good way to communicate with people. It's a real quick question. What about this? Fine. But those real conversations
totally relate.
Should be face-to-face, or all of those little devices have this app that kind of looks like a phone handset. It's called a phone call. And you maybe want to toss a few of those in. Now, the argument I get for people is like, well, I don't have time to talk with the people that long. I'm like, okay. And there lies the problem. You don't have enough time to talk with somebody? Okay. We need to take a look at how you're spending your time. And so they think sending a quick text while they're doing 5 other things is communicating. It's not. It's not. And real essential time together, right? So doing real things together is crucial, right? To just have this with Niache Wallace. I talked on that topic with her, and as you just pointed out, well, our kids are so stressed up because they're running from one appointment to the other, and school is getting more stressful also, right? So that's, nowadays even kids end up in burnout. That's why, right? And more and more the really family time, sitting together, chatting and having dinner, whatever, that gets more and more lost, right? Which is not healthy. So everybody running about after his appointment and rushing in and out, but there is no real connection, and that gets lost, right? When I see my sons, they are always on the phone and on the without iPhone, the world would be totally incomplete, right?
But that's the generation there. But we also have a point in there that, like, I did set up with them whenever it suited everybody, a special day when we want to sit to prepare and sit together and have dinner. That was scheduled like any other thing, right? To make sure this time will happen.
Exactly.
Because otherwise it doesn't.
Yeah, they'll just say, well, I'm going to actually go over to my friends, or I'm going to run to do this or do this, and I'll just eat something on the way. And, that's, again, that takes a toll on our bodies when we're eating faster than we need to and not taking a break to chew our food, consume it, and just, again, be present, be in the moment. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, and cooking together with my sons was really a nice thing, because that was time together also, right? And preparing, and one did buy the things, and now we prepare together. That's totally possible, right? So we are already talking 1 hour, Michael. Did you realize that? Yeah,
I just glanced up at the clock, and that's what happens sometimes in conversations like this.
Yeah.
You blink and
if it goes good, right? So we have to wrap it up, Michael, unfortunately, as I have Art coming on. So is there anything we did not cover, whatever you would say, I need to say... I need to mention, I want to point out whatever.
No, I think we had a really good, fulsome conversation about burnout and the importance of boundaries in your life. And we've given some tools and techniques from our own personal experiences that have worked. And I'm happy to help guide people, to, rid their life of burnout once and for all, because I don't want to see anybody burned out. It's not a way to live. It takes so much energy, and it robs life from you. And life is meant to be lived fully, and you want to be fully in the game and enjoy every moment of it, because, like you said, you blink and there goes another second, and there goes another second, and there goes another second, and you blink and you go, okay, how in the world to get to 2019? I'm still trying to figure out where 2015 went, so.
It really it's going so quick. Time is so quick, right?
Exactly.
So that's really the truth. And, I will point everything in the show notes. And thanks again for throwing your signed book, 369 help me out.
369 days.
How to survive a year of worst case scenarios. That's what it's called. You're going to throw that into the lottery pot for the giveaway. So thanks for that. And thanks for being here. And I wrote down the sentence, if you don't take a break, it will break you. That's what I wrote down. I love this sentence.
Exactly.
And we will wrap it up like that if we said everything. Okay.
Thank you so much.
I have another private question for you, just for if you stay here. So, thanks for listening, Fly Nation. And this was Michael Levitt on the talk, and we explored how burnout is affecting today's society, and some easy ideas and tips what to do about that. So have a lovely day, and goodbye.
Hello Fly Nation, thanks for listening in today to this awesome episode number 7 on a topic that affects nearly everybody of us, being stressed out. I hope Michael Levitt could give you new inspiration on how to reduce stress in your life and prevent burnout. Feel free to share the Fly podcast with your friends who might also profit from the tips. Don't forget to subscribe to be sure to catch your next success story with the fantastic keynote speaker Daniel Gomez, airing on Tuesday. Please rate and review either on freestyleyourlifepodcast.com or on your favorite podcast directory such as iTunes, Stitcher or Spotify. You can always find all links, tips and recaps in the show notes description on freestyleyourlifepodcast.com. Have a great day and go for your dreams. Remember, Fly Nation, break free and fly. Talk to you next week. Bye.